Hi everybody, welcome back to the Claremont Classic Garage. You know what we're up to today? I gotta be a millwright / machinist. I'm not very good at either, but necessity is the mother of invention. This here is our old FMC brake lathe. You've seen it on the channel a few times before, but it's having a problem. Basically what the problem is it's a disc drum machine. So here's the feed screw, and to do drums, the feed goes this way and that way. To do discs, you lock out the this way. It goes into neutral sort of, and it engages a pair of miter gears that makes the feed go this way, so you can machine rotors. Well, what would happen is every now and then it would decide to, halfway through the cut on a rotor, it would decide to move that way. Whoomp. And man, no amount of tightening down the lock screw on the ways would solve the problem. Anyway, I finally decided I need to take this thing apart and see what's going on. And here's what I found. These are the miter gears that were in there. Oh, come on, focus there. And they are just worn away to nothing. They were barely engaging, and what was happening, every now and then, they'd climb up each other like that, and that's what was shooting the tool holder over and gouging my brake rotors. Anyway, I thought, where in the world am I ever going to get these? But then I looked on them. Boston Gear, L101Y. So I checked it out, and yes, you can still get those. Anyway, I got some knockoff ones on eBay. So here they are. They're the same pitch and the same gear count. These are Modulus 2 15-tooth gears. So, this guy here, it's been modified. It's got a reduced diameter because it runs in that bushing. So I have already done that. I chucked it up on a mandrel and put it in a lathe, and I turned that down so it fits nicely in the bushing. What we have to do now is we have to measure and we have to bore the centers of both gears, and then we need to somehow cut a keyway in this one. But for now, what we're going to do is just get them bored. My guess is that's a 1/2 inch. The hole in this thing as furnished is 10 millimeter, which is pretty much 3/8. So I'm drilling it through with a 7/16 drill to start, and then we'll finish it with a 1/2 inch drill, and then I'll push a reamer through it just to be sure. There's some hardening at by the teeth, that end of it, but the shank end of it, or the hub, no hardening at all. It cuts very easily. There, we're through. Now we'll send a 1/2 inch reamer through it. It shouldn't really do too much. Usually you would drill a tiny bit smaller than your target size before you ream, but anyway, we did it this way. There you go. Well, that's the first few steps completed. Something interesting that I noticed, and I don't know if you'll be able to see that at home, but if you can see, when they modified this gear, how off-center they got it when they machined it. Terrible. This one's a lot better. Now, the next two things we have to do, this guy, you can see needs a keyway cut in it. That should be interesting. I've done a bit of thinking about that. And then this one here needs, you can see there, it's held on with a split pin. So we need to drill a hole clear through it to mimic that. That went well. This gear is done. Now we just have to figure out how to cut this keyway. First we got to determine what size it is. What we've done here is we've made a kind of like a poor man's brooch. So I've got this thing held in there. Because of the gearing, it doesn't move. And then we've got a parting tool on its side in the tool holder, and we're just going in and out like so. Only taking about 2/1000ths at a time. And it's slowly starting to make a groove in there. Now this thing isn't quite wide enough. We'll have to finish it off with a file, but this will at least get it started. We just go super slow and just take literally 2/1000ths at a time. And eventually we'll get there. It's looking pretty good. I'm going to get it out of there now and see if we've got it deep enough. I got to get about another 20 thou deeper. I've been going about 2 thou a cut, so we'll take 10 swipes at it and check it again. There we are. Now we'll get our file and see if we can widen it out. And there you have it. We got it. So we've got our keyway cut in there. Now we can put this thing back together and see if it'll work. Oh, here we go. We can try and put this darn thing back together. So, sort of how it works is this is the drive here. This is the drive shaft off the gearbox here. That's what drives the feed. And then you've got this other one that slides over it. And you can see here there's a dog that you engage and disengage. So when that's engaged, it turns both screws, right? And that pulls your tool carrier back to cut a drum. When you disengage that and lock this thing, it turns this gear, and yet there's a cam you flip, I'll show you that later, which engages the crossfeed gear, and then you get your crossfeed for turning rotors. So what was happening, even though when I had the crossfeed engaged, those gears would climb up each other, and it would kind of push this thing over a bit and gouge the face of the rotor. Anyway, we think we've got that sorted out now. Okay, so first on, we've got this guy here. This little plastic nylon bushing goes in there, similar to what's on your brake pedal. And a thrust washer. That's one on there already. And that's as far as we're going to put that on. There goes the alarm. So now you'll see this little crab here fits over this brass nut. And that's what drives this back and forth along here. So it's kind of a little trick here. We get this guy on, hooked into there. And then we got to get this along here, and we have to get this engaged on the ways of the machine. So let's try and do that without knocking the phone down. Oh, I'm so close. There we go. We got it. They can hear there's coyotes howling in the distance, and these two are just having a convulsion. So now you can see how that goes together. And that's where our other miter gear fits inside that bore there. This thing of all the stuff around here really makes me put my thinking cap on, because anybody that knows me knows I'm anal about manuals and instructions and paperwork and stuff. And this thing came a la carte. No paper, no manual, no nothing. And I have scoured the internet for years. I've never been able to find anything on this. So we just kind of figure it out as we go. And so far we've done okay with it. Next thing we've got to do is get our other miter gear, or our driven miter gear on here, line it up with that, and drive this 5/32 pin through it. Now we put another nylon washer and another thrust washer on there. I took this thing apart months ago. You gotta bear with me. So another thrust washer goes on there. Then we're going to put this in from the back and put the rest of this gear train together. So this little guy goes in there like so. And then you'll see before the end of it comes through that bulkhead there, we have to put did we put another thrust washer on it? Hang on, let me figure this out. So another thrust washer goes on, and then this spring goes all the way in. It's slowly coming back to me. I gotta grab a snap ring plier now. Then another thrust washer. And we got to get this little keyway in here. This little Woodruff key. Like that. Oh. I want the end of it under the thrust washer though. Came apart a lot easier than it goes together, I'll tell you that. Oop. Come on. Need fingers like E.T. to work on this thing. There we go. All right, and now the little trick is to get this snap ring on. There we go. All right, so there's that back there. So what that does, we've got a little cam that pushes this gear out to engage it, and you can see the spring that's in there retracts it when we're done. Good. Now I've put our thrust washer on. We've installed our Woodruff key. And this little, it's just kind of a little bracket that holds this bushing, goes in or on. And then our little miter gear, let's see here. My bad. It goes like that. Silly me. Hang on. Yeah, it goes like that. Okay, I got it. It just had like a tiny little burr on it or something, but it's okay now. Yeah, there we go. So these gears are a tiny bit different than the original ones, but it seems like they ought to work. Just get a ratchet and tighten those up. Then on the end we've got this nylon lock nut that basically sets the end play on the shaft. So you just run that down. Till it's tight and kind of back it off a hair. There, just like that. That's our end play set. Next, we're going to install this. This is the gear train that transfers the Crossfeed up to here. There we go. Come on. You know you want to go in. There it goes. There. And that's held on with 3/4-20 bolts. Now we can thread in the Crossfeed. Says here. Have to be careful. That's a fine thread in a brass nut. Oh. There we go. So that's in. Now I have to install the nut. This is what, where did I put it? Oh, it's right under here. So this nut, this is what locks this thing down when we get it into rotor position. All right, now let me see. If you see down in there, there's a little hole, and when you turn this thing far enough, there's a little pointer that lines up. Let's see. And that tells us we're in the place we need to be to engage the gear. Right there. Let's see if it's still the right place. Might be, might not be. Let me fiddle around with it a bit. Oh, we can see in there the gears are engaged nicely, and the end of the gear does not contact the feed screw, which was another concern I had about this setup, because these gears are different than what was in it before, but it all seems to work. While she's working, it's good to have my lathe back. Well, there's the first one all done. It was a little close, but we're still, look, we're 22 thou to the good, so this is a good rotor. We got the next rusty old bugger on there now, getting cut. These are the ones off Deb's dad's Jeep. They've been sitting around here. These are the ones I was doing when the machine broke. So months later, we're carrying on. Well, that worked out pretty well. I sure am glad to have my brake lathe back. I was hoping I've got some of the great big rotors off the dually over there, but I don't think I've got enough. I've got enough throw on the Crossfeed to turn them, even if I could get them on there. I was going to make an adapter, but the Crossfeed it'll actually run out of thread before it can cut them. So bummer. What are you gonna do? Hopefully I'll never have to buy rotors for that thing again because they were expensive. Anyway, that's gonna wrap this up. I'm as happy as a clam, and I can go in the house and have a nice night knowing that thing works. I wasn't quite sure if I'd remember how to put it back together, but I guess we got it. Anyhow, want to thank you for tuning in and supporting our channel. Hope you'll come back and see us again next time. And until then, this is Kevin saying so long from the Claremont Classic Garage.